What's up everyone, I'm Indecisive Brian, and today we're doing something a bit different. So first and foremost, I don't claim to be a FromSoft aficionado. I also haven't played and beat every FromSoft game to completion. However, Dark Souls as a series will always hold a special place in my top 5, and Elden Ring is a game I've looked forward to for quite some time. We're finally approaching its release date, and I'm here to give 3 reasons to why you should be excited. Number 1. The minds behind the world. George R.R. Martin and Hidetaka Miyazaki worked to create the lore of this world together. That alone should excite you. So let me put this in perspective if you aren't familiar with these two. In one hand, we have George R.R. Martin, the immensely creative American novelist, screenwriter, television producer, and short story writer, who's written tons of books but is best known for being the mastermind behind the famous fantasy series A Song of Ice and Fire, which is what most of us know as the hit TV show we all have a love and hate relationship with today, called The Game of Thrones. Then on the other hand, we have Miyazaki, the wonderfully creative Japanese video game director, designer, writer, and company executive of From Software, a company which is beyond gifted in the art of environmental storytelling, most of which played a part in creation of Demon's Souls, Bloodborne, the Dark Souls trilogy, Sekiro, and many others. So, we have those two incredibly talented individuals, each throwing their creative genius into a mixing pot and serving us up what's bound to be an incredibly rich world full of lore and meaningful exploration. And I personally could not be more excited. Number 2, the open world. I know. Before I hear open world is played out, or just because it's open world doesn't mean it will be good, etc., hear me out. Sure, there are some branching paths and hidden areas that are completely optional in some of the past games. However, when playing Dark Souls, Demon's Souls, Bloodborne, etc., the conversation will typically always be the same. Say Johnny just beat his first boss in Dark Souls 3. Let's say Sally just beat her second. Well, there isn't going to be much variation in what happens to them in between those bosses, is there? Since the structure of the game is linear. And I'm putting that in quotations because linear might be too strong of a word. My point being, they had a set goal as well as set paths. So what Sally did in her playthrough will always be quite similar to what Johnny did in his. Am I making any sort of sense here? Sure, there will be some differences like I used this weapon or I died 20 times more than you did, but nothing significant like an open world game has to offer. Here's a personal example. Me and my girlfriend played through Breath of the Wild last year, right? And because of the vast open world, our experiences with the game were drastically different. She went one way and I went another. I did this and she did that. We went around the world in different ways and I focused on saving up for a house while she focused on completing shrines. And after all was said and done, we had lots to talk about after each time we played because of how different we were approaching things. Plenty of opportunities for questions like, where was that? Where'd you get that item? Or how do you get there? That kind of experience can only be had in an open world game or one with lots of branching paths, and we'll be getting something very similar with Elden Ring later this week. My point here being, just because the game is open world does not mean it won't be a fantastic addition to FromSoft's library. Number 3, Dark Souls is back. We can finally jump into the gameplay we love packed in a brand new world. Sure, there are changes including like a mount you can ride and fight on top of, but there are some awesome quality of life improvements as well, including instant fast travel back to any site of grace, which is the equivalent of a bonfire in Dark Souls. They've given us a beautifully drawn map to help us traverse the incredibly detailed lands between. I mean, have you seen it? It's gorgeous. They added Stakes of Marika, forgive me if I'm pronouncing that wrong, which are checkpoints essentially that are sometimes placed in areas just in case you die, so you don't always have to respawn at the last site of grace you rested at. Now, I have to highlight these next 3 big additions. Number 1, we can jump. Yes, I am highlighting that. Believe it or not, I'm excited for something as simple as jumping. Number 2, they added a stealth system. We're able to sneak up on our enemies now, or if you want to take the milk drinker's way out, just sneak by. Definitely taking inspiration from Sekiro here. Number 3, my personal favorite. They added a multiplayer menu. You heard me right. PvE summons, PvP summons, matchmaking items, etc. are all in one place now. Thank you, FromSoft. I've been wanting something like this for ages. Weapon skills are back, and last but not least, no more will you have to go back to a bonfire and refill your flasks. Taking down groups of enemies has a chance of replenishing either your mana or health flasks. That means we're being rewarded for beating the living crap out of all the mobs we'll come across during our adventures. But best of all, regardless of all the new additions as well as the quality of life improvements, at the end of the day, we'll all still be roll dodging off cliffs to our death, And if you're like me, consistently failing to successfully parry. I don't know about you, but I for one cannot wait to get to sit down and soak up all this game has to offer later this week. And I hope to catch all of you in the lands between.
Unless, of course, thou shouldst take the crown.